Hello, my name is Bob Parsons. I'm going to be going over my back-end 2 project with for breakout services, breakout, and the first one I'm going to cover is services. So it's an Express server using Apollo and GraphQL connecting to a MongoDB Compass database. A few things on here. It is token based, so I have some functionality to, when there's an incoming request, it's going to use that token, get the user based on that token, and allow them to log in based on that. As I am using GraphQL, I can decide what endpoint I'm going to. There is only one endpoint, unlike RESTful APIs where you have multiple, everything feeds in through the one GraphQL endpoint. Few pieces on there, starting with the schema. The schema really defines what your queries, mutations, and subscriptions, if you have them. I do not have subscriptions on this project, but basically gives the Apollo and GraphQL an understanding of what you're expecting to input and output, such as a type user. ID is required of type ID, a username is required, email is required, but I can optionally have a wish list, an array of wish list, a string of role, or the number of failed rooms that I have. That is totally optional of how we decide to run that. Within the model is the connection to the database and defining how the types and what it is made of, the associations that they're included in. I do have in my JWT hashing going on here, bcrypt hashing. JWT is the token-based hash to choose for that. So when a user is saved, it does create them a new a hashed password. If they're doing another update, it will not override it. That's what this check-in's for. I'm doing 10 salt rounds, which is pretty secure without affecting performance too much on it. And then anytime there's a login, my user can be validated with the dehash process. The resolvers is really the heart of GraphQL. This is where all the logic happens. All the queries of getting all users, getting a user based on an ID that's input, getting me is based on the token that's provided. Mutations, as far as signing up or logging in, mutations just mean there's some kind of change usually that's going to happen to the database versus just a query. And this is where I'm going to, create a token, add the token, add the user in, provide the token back to the front end along with the user information that's requested. That's one of the things that's really nice about GraphQL. You can get back what you want. Kind of talk about that a little more here. So this is my local host, and I'm going to log in my user with a password breakout, which I'm going to get the token. Get that token. Then when I do a query, which it is required that I be authenticated to get me back. Once I add my token into the header, I will get my data back for my actual user. And this is extendable, again, with even one endpoint. If I want to change the data that I want to get the wish list and favorites. I can now run that, and now it's added in the wish list and favorites as part of my query. And if my query decides I just want the ID to pull up other information or do a different query, I can do that. It's just very extensible and very easy to use, and prevents unnecessary overhead or unnecessary massive amounts of endpoints to work with everything. If I add a field, I don't need to create a new version. I just add the new field, and wherever it needs to be called, I call that field, and everything else works without breaking. So it's very future-proof in that respect. On the front end, did Angular using a lot of components and modules to work out my system. everything. I try to make as many reusable modules as possible, such as the login and the messages, the loaders, the room information. They're designed to be implemented within the pages to increase the reusability of it. So the same place where I'm doing a room list, which is in several different pages, I don't have to rewrite room list. I'm just adding room list into my page, and it's going to go pull that up. So, like in this case right here, I'm adding the crate to this room. I didn't have to go in with the room detail. I didn't have to recreate that application. I just re-imported in here, and I have it. I'm doing heavy use on services. I'm doing a lot of object callbacks, so I'm using observables for everything. That way it stays up to date. So I've created a lot of observables. So like when the program actually runs, the first thing it does is check the user to see if there is a token. So it'll check the local storage, see if there's a token. If it is, it's going to include it in the headers. So if it has that, it'll automatically log it in. I add that to my in-memory cache, which for GraphQL is performant. There's a lot of memory that's cached, so I'm actually not doing another query to get new data. So even though I'm on the front end acting like I'm doing a query, Apollo actually catches it and resubmits it. But I would listen for updates, so I'm updating that memory as it happens, so I'm not missing anything. So let's give an example on the authentication. So part of the constructor, when this runs, so when this is called, and it's called by the nav bar, so anytime you have the page loaded, nav bar is going to call that user and do some stuff with it. It does change your menu options based on that, so that's where I loaded it in. But it's going to go see if that's a user, if it has user data, if it isn't authenticated, and we're updating that observable, and so that we can handle it as we move through the service. I am passing that user information to my user service, so it can handle all the profiles and changes that we do there. I did break a lot of that functionality up. And going through and just really handling everything that a sign in or log out or sign up, what data I need, and then sending it through the queries. This is where the queries come through. There's a couple different ways. I did a standard one, but you can also do spread notation on it to make it very easy to send all your variables through without having to type them all out, which is the way I prefer to do it, but I try to make it this a little bit easier to see. And then these other services for the different activities with the different queries, mutations, and different things that's going to happen with it. Such as, again, here's one for get company. It's going to subscribe to those changes, and if there are changes that are made to the incoming get company, I am sending that as an observable, so wherever I'm attaching to that service, I am always going to have an updated information on it. Okay, let me show you some of the stuff that actually running. So this is running on my local server. So right now I am logged in as user and go through the pages some. So I have only two options. Here's user. I can submit a new company or list out the breakout companies. And within the breakout companies, I then have the linked information that's coming from there. I can go to the detail page, which is a router function. I guess I can show that real quick. So it is also using routing by passing in the ID of it to get that detailed amount, so it can do a query within that company detail page to go and pull that up. So when this page loads in the constructor, I'm grabbing that param and then doing a query to go and get that. So here's where I get that query. I've now subscribed to that, any changes to that company. And then from that company, once I have that, I go and get the rooms that are assigned to that and add them. So it's very dynamic. Page loads quick. User doesn't see everything loading in the background. My initial page loads, and then it's loading out the different rooms after that. And then this is again where I have the breakout room that it's going to add in a reusable module, so I'm not repeating this in multiple places, because I can add a room. The breakout rooms, I can submit a new room. This one's a little different in that it calls to get, you have to select the rooms you're going to, versus and then if you're actually in the company already, it doesn't ask for that. It just knows that I am part of this company, so I'm submitting to here, so I can start naming what it is. So yeah, let's just go ahead and add one real quick. New room demo. Let's go get an image real quick. Use this one here. Copy image address. And we'll sign that this room takes 50 minutes to get out. Awesome. Great demo. I'm not sure why that broke, but it does show my messaging of why it's going on there. Okay, that one added. I need to go find out what error I created on my test setup, but that was fully working. But if you notice, there's no, if I go back to list out, that company is not added. There's still my two originals. So I'm going to log out as this user. Log in. I'll log in, just a simple page change. So it's just reloading the modules under that. We're going to do our admin user. So now when I go to breakout companies, I now have an approve here, and here's my company that needs to be approved or denied. I'm going to go ahead and approve them. And now when I list out breakout companies, I now have a third option in here. Let's do this. So let's go into here. In the rooms, it does have the information about how many times this room's been completed, the success rate, and then I can go into here, and in the rooms I can go and actually complete it. So this one I'm going to complete at 9:50, so it's going to be a success, which you instantly see an update. The room's updated. There's no change in screen, didn't have to reload, it just comes in there. And as an admin, I can remove this as a room if I needed to. I can add it to my wish list or favorites. I can add in another one here. Let's say it took us 88 minutes to get that one done. So now the success rate will actually drop, but the temps go up. So it is keeping track of everything that's going on there. Yeah, that is the core functionality of it. I did create, this is running on, I did want to show sign up. So this is actually connecting to the actual Roku app I have going live. So again, when I create a user, it's going to give me a token. From that token, I can go to sign, or sorry, I can sign in now, and it's going to give me actually a different token. So I have two different tokens, but now this user is actually working once I have signed up. So let's do, I meant to do it this way. So no user found with login credentials. So these errors are nice because you can get back meaningful errors back to the user if you do have those needs. So I can pass this along, which is nice. But when I come in here to do a sign up, it's going to fail again because I can't have duplicate email addresses. Let's write that. So now I have my token. Now I can go in here and sign in, and my user's working. So my live server is running fine. And then I'll open that window. So this is actually a little one I did just so you can see it working. And everything is functional. So this is still working, and actually now I should have different database. Everything comes in, can remove different things. I'm sorry, this does show that, I forgot that if you've completed it as a user, it does log that you've completed that room and shows now that that one is done. So that's an option in there. And you know what, as a user, I'll remove. So now we've removed that room, and now I'll have this room here done, and it's all dynamically. I don't have to wait for it to finish loading. So that is my project. Thank you very much.